For the last 20 years, I often get asked how would I change education, or do I feel that the education in the UK is where it should be? And the answer is no. I have so many changes I would love to do, but I believe they are simple changes. Now, what am I looking at on here? Funding, for starters, okay? The funding has dropped more and more for schools over the last 20 years. The percentage to the national GDP has significantly fallen, and I would love to see as simple as a 3% pay increase on education. What would I do with that? That's the question, is what would you do with that? Well, the thing is education has become this community centre, if you like. The teachers, the staff, the support staff, the teams within schools, they're awesome. They're absolutely awesome. And people need to realise how hard they are working for the benefit of the students. Now, schools used to be for teaching. That was it. You go there, you learn to read and write, and off you kind of went, and you went through a few tests along the way. And now it's not. You're part of the community. You deal with stuff that's happening in the community within the school. This is what happens. You've got the safeguarding and such awareness of this now, of what's going on. You have young people living in poverty, in the UK, and then the worst for me, and it sounds really daft, is you have so many undiagnosed SEN students. That's really, really bad. So with this increase, what would I do? Well, I'd put it at the beginning of a child's journey. I think every child should be treated as SEN until proven otherwise, which means a student who's dyslexic gets to learn really early on that they are dyslexic. They then get taught throughout their entire school journey how to manage, how to cope, the best ways to learn. Because the best ways to learn aren't always reading, Audible books. Look at Audible books, they're brilliant. Let's use technology to bring our young people now, forward with us. So yeah, it is an outdated system. Dyspraxia. How are we working with kids with dyspraxia? What about moderate learning difficulties? How are we working with those? See, if you've got more staff in the early years working with these young people, you will be amazed at what happens. Smaller groups. I run a successful alternative provision, and our smaller groups is absolutely key to everything. They have education healthcare plans. We look at that, we prioritise, we do personal learning plans around all the students. But could you imagine that I'm doing that when they are 13, 14, they're against the system, they don't want to learn anymore because of the way it's been so hard for 10 years. When actually, if we front-loaded education financially, then our students would be amazing. Their path in front of them would be so much easier, and they would learn so much more. And to be honest, they'd love learning. Now, this extra funding, how would it benefit us? Well, let's look at this. Do you realise the number of SEN people that are in prisons at the moment? The prisons at the moment are full. There is over 16,000, that's 29% of inmates who have learning difficulties. We have, out of total offenders of 67,000, are you ready for this statistic? Literally 30,000 are below level 2 when it comes to education. So let's reverse this now. If we look after people right at the very beginning of their education, then those numbers will fall. The prison population will fall. And the thing is what's really bad is the level 3. So let's look at level 3 and above. That is at 1,200. Just 1,200 have level 3 or above education within the prison system. And not only that, we don't deal with the social, emotional and the mental health as well. You know, there's over 350 deaths in the prison service each year, and a quarter of those, unfortunately, them taking their own lives. But self-harm is in the tens of thousands. So, you know, by putting something simple in place at the beginning, training the right staff would make life a lot easier for teachers. So we've now got another advantage going forward. That advantage is the fact that we would keep teachers. They would see the rewards and the benefits of their early intervention. I'm not saying that it doesn't flow. It will, you know, we will need them at every single level that there is. We need to increase these special teachers, these special educational needs teachers. We need to increase the mental health support staff and their qualifications going forward. That's really essential. And we'll stop putting people in prison. We will help teachers to love the job and not leave. There'll be more staff on hand responsible for key areas of each and every student. So we're not actually having the worries of a shortage of staff. So and it's all by putting the funding at the beginning and then drip feeding it upwards rather than drip feeding it downwards, because it doesn't work. So how would I work with each SEN young person? Well, for starters, I'd aim for English and maths functional skills by the end of year 9. And I'd be aiming for a level 2 from pretty much everybody, because that's what they'll be working to. And I think it sets them up for life. And I'd probably even throw in the ICT at that as well. Now, when it comes to year 10, you have a choice to do your GCSE English. You have a choice to do your GCSE Maths, depending on what you want to do in the future. It's as simple as that. Yeah, okay, not everyone knows what they want to do, but some students absolutely despise writing. They despise maths, multiplication, algebra, the most pointless thing that there is, unless you're going to be a scientist. So let's think about this. Let's give the students who, we need tradespeople out there. We're desperate for tradespeople. You know, so those who don't like reading and writing, let them in year 10 and 11 learn construction, learn hospitality, learn varying different trades and then go into apprenticeships. And the thing is, if they're more going into apprenticeships, then there's a lot less being saddled with a lot of debt if they go to university. But if we're saving money because teachers aren't leaving, if we're saving money because the prisons aren't getting as full, do we have extra money then for the university places, for young people who can go and create a machine for climate change? You know, literally suck the CO2 out or whatever it is. It's amazing what we could do if we all thought and worked together. Let's change education. It'd be nice if somebody actually had the guts to do it properly and make sure that everybody gets the education they deserve.